here with producer, multi-instrumentalist, Dr. Brain. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, man. How about yourself?
Man, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man. No sweat. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
talk that has to be had. You know what I mean?
yeah. So, like, you came to my attention. You made Talib Kweli's "Whose Man Is This" list, and 6 days ago, video which was posted by the Kansas City Defender. In the video, a girl named Bray confronts a group of white students who call Black people slaves. And later she gets attacked by a white male student who calls her the N-word, allegedly. Bray ends up with a 5-day school suspension and a broken nose. What are your thoughts about that video?
I think at this point, personally, like it's a shame. Obviously, still the type of things that end up in my algorithm one way or another. You know what I mean? And it's the video is unfortunate. You know, obviously it sucks. It's any type of like hate crimes or whatever it may be, whether it be in public with adults or in a school setting with children. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, it's just all the way whack. Like, ain't nobody winning from that type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, like, feel like, people shouldn't be triggered by the N-word. That was one of the comments and stuff that I saw, like, that you wrote. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, I could understand that. Like, it feels like, that we've been conditioned to respond to that. And I understood, like, the meaning that you were, like, getting across in that particular comment. And people, like, unfairly, like, started calling you names like Coon, Uncle Tom. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay. And see, when it comes to like my perspective personally, it's not even a matter of triggering. You know what I'm saying? I feel like as a young Black man in America, I do experience this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't be getting triggered by a slur. That's not really what I'm advocating for. What I'm saying is that the initial response that we have as a community is like there's this narrative idea that like if you get called a slur by a white person in particular, um, you have full social clearance to just go full like go all the way off and like do damage to another human being. You know what I'm saying? Which is my point. Getting upset at verbal like argumentation is like that's natural. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we've been conditioned to react violently because it's okay. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much history to this to the point where, and like you said, like all the people who rushed up on me, like are white and black alike. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of, I like the perspective of a, a black American being irritated or triggered by me even bringing this idea to the table is very understandable. And the idea that a white American is backing that Black American's idea because of white guilt is like part of the power that this conversation has over like everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why jumping to the supremacy word was like, although it be a pretty drastic assumption, it was like I mean, I'm calling it like I see it, bro. Like what's the word? Supremacy. Supremacy is supremacy. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the
So
idea that I could
you
get
you
called
referred you referred to Talib Kweli as a black supremacist, which like I wouldn't call him a black supremacist. I would call him hateful. I think he's one of the most hateful, bigoted people on the internet. I don't understand
mm-hmm,
how Instagram continues to allow him to have an account. Like I see him all the time, like attack people, put out false information, continue to lie on
mm-hmm.
people. And it's very disappointing, especially coming from someone who I consider to be a hip hop star. He is a great,
Exactly.
a great musician, a great artist, but like his social media presence doesn't reflect that.
I think his social media presence is far more telling of his age. Like, and this is not a diss. I think the whole ageism issue does factor into this a certain point, because I know that I'm not the only person who, first of all, understands that the Black community is not a monolith, and
Right.
also, like, I can't be the only one who believes that there must be a better way. You understand?
100%, because and what you were saying was making a lot of sense, because like, obviously, like, I've seen those issues play out, like, time and time again. And I thought about, like, being a father, like, how would I want my daughter to react in that situation? And I feel
Right.
like, like Bray, I can't blame her for how she responded in that situation.
Of course not.
But
Of course not.
like, I think that the situation could have been handled better from her
Absolutely.
perspective and stuff, where it didn't. And I'm not putting her at fault, because, like, the student, but I'm really ashamed. I think, like, people in the comments, I think, like, one of the comments, Chuck Creekmore from All Hip Hop, where he was saying, the father needs to handle that. He needs to handle a child. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I think, like, just that mindset, I don't understand. What do you think about, like, people advocating
And when
for
it comes
violence
to
in
me
that
personally,
situation?
right. And that was, and again, that was the big shock to me coming from Talib, somebody who, when I listen to music, being an artist, and just being a person, like, when I listen to what he says in his music, he's not, he's preaching something different than what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I will not discredit him for teaching me the lessons that he taught me through his music, whether they were my own interpretation or not, because it's gotten me to where I am now, and I fully commit to this hill. Like, I absolutely believe, like, no, and this all started from a comment on that post of this young lady, of me just typing the word divide, because that's something that I do on the internet. When I see something being pushed in towards an agendic narrative that is divisive between the people, I I call it how I see it. You are trying to divide people, which is not helping. Like, I understand that this is a racial issue and it's a touchy one, and I feel like I've held this intellectual conversation back for long enough that like, it's just time to ask a couple of the people who were even in that comment section that have known me for years in my real life. They were like, man, you called this. Like, when, and the understanding of, like, supremacy, when a Black man looks at me and says white people can't be racist. By the way, I'm biracial. I'm Black and white right down the middle. I'm as regular as it gets. So when, and in my own family, understand, not even if we're not even talking about the outside world, I've experienced racism from both of everything. There's just as many. I mean, that's not even cut that all the way out, because that's an ignorant way of looking at things. I don't think there's as many viscerally angry and hatred filled Black Americans as there are, say, like, white supremacists. I don't go outside and worry about Black supremacists. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But the narrative being pushed in these types of posts, when these are kids, man. You know what I'm saying? These are the closest thing to a reflection of our own teachings that we have right now, and we are dramatically failing them. And I think
agree.
this
I agree.
this is a conversation worth having.
I want to know who made Talib Kweli the arbiter of Blackness. But, like, let's talk about his fan base, because, like, you made a comment and you were basically saying they're just sheep and they're predisposed to dislike you because you disagree with a celebrity they like, and they don't even have reasonable arguments. Like, looking at the comment, they have, like, the lowest IQs on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they just resort to name calling, coon,
right,
Tom,
right.
You're a white supremacist, a Nazi. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts about, like, when you're being called?
That was wild, bro. That was crazy. I think that leads into the idea of just like, who made him the arbiter for Blackness? Honestly, man, genuinely, we did. Like, because this is what celebrityism does to people. Like, when Talib and Mos Def were saying what they were saying on those records, we were listening, you know what I'm saying? And they were speaking truth. They were speaking like honest. And
Well,
I mean, bro,
I want to propose a trade in the racial draft and shit today, because like Talib, like, you know what I mean, he needs to go, like, you know, because his internet is very just like irresponsible. I think it's really wrong, like, you know, for him to label, like, you know, people who are doing good work like yourself, you know, and call them, like, you know, Nazis or white supremacists, or label them in that group. And like, you know, when there's actual, you know, white supremacists, and, you know, who have an agenda, like, you know, I just interviewed like a former white
right.
supremacist. They have, like, you know, agenda to start a race war, you know, like, so like
Yeah, I
pushing,
saw that.
yeah, to push the mindset that he's trying to do, you know what I mean, and stuff that's falling into the white supremacist agenda, where like peace, that's not. So like, you know what I mean, I advocate you for standing for peace. Like, I mean, I think, like, you know, like you're very introspectful and intellectual individual, you know. So like, no matter what
Hey,
you're
listen,
doing,
man.
man, like, you know, I understood where you were coming from. And I think people deserve to have freedom of thought, you know, an opinion, even if you disagree with them. You know, if you're not saying something, like, you know, there are certain black people, you know, that they're disgraceful to the black community, you know, like some of the things that they say that come out of their mouth, I feel. But like, you're not one of
Mm.
those people, man. So
Listen, and about that even, man, like there has to be, in order for us to reach this peaceful state of like harmony, honestly, there has to be an understanding for those people, even people like Talib, even the people who were calling me what they were calling me. That's it. Like for me to respond viscerally to that is completely going against everything that I'm trying to make a point of. If even if I react unintellectually to what is insane, which is my own, like my people in my culture saying some of the most terrible things that I've ever been told on like the internet in my life. Um, it's this pendulum, man. Like the pendulum at the top is like it's at this white supremacist thing where this is just the system that we live in. We live in a system that is propagated by white supremacists, and even people who are not white supremacists profit from this system. But it's swinging towards this direction where it's just gonna go to black supremacy, and like all of it is going to just like switch negative, as in like black is white and white is black. Now I'm worried about us as a culture becoming what we hate so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid of us reaching this point of supremacy, of superiority, and I very much think that that is the 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 narrative that's being pushed by somebody who gets stung so much more by these words because of just the era that you grew up in. I understand it. And I do sympathize with it. And I do feel sorry for him, genuinely. And I wish he would listen to himself. You know what I mean?
I was
I
checking out
think he said some interesting things.
checking out your music, and are you part of a hip hop collective? Is that what SOSR is?
Yeah, Solar System Records.
Okay.
I saw all my folks out in Phoenix and all that.
Definitely, man. I was like listening to, like, you know, your Spotify, man, and you have some incredible music. Like, you know, where can people follow you on social media? Check out your music.
Um, Social media, I mean, I guess people know where to follow my Instagram now, but uh for I'm a producer, you know, SoundCloud Dr. Brain, Spotify Dr. Brain, Apple Music Dr. Brain. If you really want to hear me rap about this shit, I do that in my music on SoundCloud. Um, yeah, nah, bro, I ain't no damn Nazi. I was out there marching with all my folks, you know what I'm saying? Fuck all that. That shit is corny. He getting soft with that word.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I feel that, you know, there's genuine people who are actual Nazis, and like, you know, like, I feel like it's counterproductive to attack people who,
Mm-hmm.
just because they disagree with you ideologically over like small points. He's called people Nazis because of, like, you know, they disagree with him about environmental issues, or like, you know, they don't agree with, like, you know, getting the COVID
I
shot.
see. I didn't know. I didn't know anything, man. I didn't know Talib was this dude. I had no idea. That's why I got taken by surprise the way I did. I had no clue. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I think
I'm
a lot
associating
of
him with the music that he made 25 years ago.
yeah, you're thinking like that you're going to get an intellectual response because like his music does come across, but he's very ignorant on the internet the way he interacts. Like where I would consider him a cyberbully. He cyberbullied me for 2 weeks when I wasn't even responding to him like this summer at all for for no reason. Like you would think he had better things to do.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
where you from originally?
I'm born and raised Arizona, my man, right in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Because I was looking at your Instagram and stuff. I saw you in Massachusetts and like Fall River, Mass, and stuff.
Yeah, a little hiatus. Had to go
Yeah.
check out the scene, meet a couple people, see how the snow was and shit.
What's the hip hop scene like in Arizona? I think I've interviewed a number of artists from Arizona before.
Bro, it's going crazy right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. A number, man. Uh, James Jobs is my boy. Peaceful Culture is my boy. All. I mean, we do what we can to collectively speak on peace. But even in my group, man, like not everybody is the biggest advocate for nonviolence the way that I
Right.
am. But regardless, check out Slater Black, Crazy Kid. Dude is wild. Lord Rock. It's all types of crazy young creative musicians coming up out of here right now. And once everybody migrates and the economy goes crazy, then it's gonna be real up. You're gonna be hearing from us again for sure. And I'm not the only one in Arizona who is not with this killing shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I think like there's something to be said for peace. I think like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Like he was like
Mm-hmm.
the biggest advocate of that. And I think there's room for different ideologies. Like a lot of people and stuff and everything prefer like Malcolm X, but like when somebody's like pushing peace, I don't think like they should be attacked and like labeled things falsely. I think that that's just wrong, man. So like
Hey man, they attacked Dr. King. They attacked Mandela. They attacked Johnny Clegg.
yeah.
This is not a new thing. Um, but like I said, bro, being violent, reacting viscerally and emotionally is easier. It's easier than containing that and asking a question to somebody that you think hates you. It's very difficult to do to like get hit and not hit back. It's hard, bro. It's a hard life to live, but it's like you feel better. You know what I mean? It makes you feel better.
Man, I was thinking about like one of the things I think in the comments I saw you wrote and you were talking about like because you're a bigger guy, you have to really like
Mm-hmm.
control your emotions because like
Right.
like I feel that way like sometimes too because like I mean I'm a black man and it's like you're considered more threatening even though like I'll be coming on but like just a little like raising my voice and stuff be like
Yup.
so
Yup. I feel bad for Debo, man.
yeah.
Like Debo was on some fuck shit, but you know what? He was a little crazy, bro. He was big. He was like scary and shit. When you have this type of like mass, you know what I'm saying? You really learn either it would be the hard way or the easy way. You learn how to control yourself because even people who are smaller than me, I've seen people like get into fights and hit people just a little too hard. You know what I'm saying? And now you looking at having like a body, like a life on your hands. Like it's not worth any of that to me.
Yeah,
I'd
man.
rather I,
I,
I
I,
I'd rather be killed than kill. You know what I'm
I, had a,
saying?
I had a homeboy in Florida and he got into a fight. He caught a manslaughter charge, you know,
See?
and like, yeah, he's still in prison. Like, and like, it can happen. Like, just like, he was drinking one day, like, he
Mm-hmm.
got into a fight with his brother. Someone tried to intervene and stuff, everything with that fight. And he just like, wilded out on that fool, like kept hitting him and he ended up dying, you know?
Man, that's a shame. That's a real shame. Like, nah, that's terrible. That's very unfortunate. Uh, nah, that's whack, man. I like we've been doing this for too long, and like let's be real, we all live in the same world. There's too much shit going on outside, bro. Like for us to be fighting like this inside of our community, like inside, nah, 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 nah. Like I'm not I'm not going to just like sit back and be scared of this type of reaction anymore, to be honest with you, because this shit, yeah, like people are fickle, man, especially on the internet. These people don't know me. They'll get over it. They probably already are. But this is something that like I will piss every human being off on the planet before I flip or like before I fold because some celebrity said I was a Nazi. Fuck out of here.
Man,
You know what I mean?
Dr. Brain, man, I enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. Good luck, like, with your music, man. I love, and stuff, everything. Rap over one of your beats, man. I'll definitely buy one, man. We'll talk, like, in the
Do
future.
it, bro. I'll give you one, homie. I appreciate you listening, brother.
Definitely, man.